Self love is one of those subjects that I feel men have a real issue with. Hi, my name is Uriel Mesa and I'm with KTSLiveCoaching.com. I put myself in that category as well because I remember in my late 30s, early 40s, when the subject would come up, it was extremely uncomfortable for me. To me, and I'm just trying to think how I was thinking back then, that if you were into this whole self-love kind of BS, you were probably kind of a weak person. And once I figured out what actually self-love is and what it does for you, um, it's the opposite. I realized that if you have the kind of love for yourself, much the same if you were a parent and you have that for your own child, it takes a lot of guts to put yourself first and to exercise healthy boundaries. I feel like men especially, they we we can be assholes sometimes. And even though we would never verbalize it, we can be threatened by other people. And sometimes the threat is somebody that seems to just sort of glide through life like they have no cares in the world. Life seems to come so easy for them. And for somebody who has limited amount of self-love, this can be threatening. And in some cases, the extreme cases, it could actually be threatening to the person who's just sort of guiding through life as though they don't have a care in the world. And the person who's observing this, who has no self love, um, might want to challenge them somehow. I don't know. I see this sometimes at the gym where you have the happy go lucky individual, a male, and then you have somebody who kind of gets in their face, somebody who has a chip on their shoulder, angry, maybe even, and I'm making this up, maybe they're resentful for the way their lives have turned out, and they're seeing the contrast when they see the other person who seems to be having such a great life. I feel that these are people who lack a great deal of self love, the person who is threatened. So, to me, to allow yourself to finally have the love, the respect, the boundaries that you deserve as a human being, much like me, um, I don't even know where I was going to go with that, honestly. But I part of me wishes that I would have learned this back in my 20s and 30s. I learned this at 43 years old. Finally got it. And it was like a bitch slap across the face with a wet towel. And it's weird how it was very visceral once you got it. Uh, it was it was many things. Um, there was a little bit of anger, but mostly, um, I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Helen Keller, the movie. There's a famous scene toward the end of it where the person who was assigned to her to help her to learn how to communicate finally broke through, and then she starts to scream out loud, she knows, she knows. And I know I had to go back way too many decades to come up with that one, but that's what I felt like. I felt like, okay, finally, I know, I get it, I know how this works. And so what I had to do is undo all the damage that I had done to myself after all these years. And like most of us, I was a product of my environment. I actually had a great childhood, although the kids in my neighborhood were kind of mean. I did have a dad who was a bully. That I think kind of did some damage to me. Now, just on a side note, I have no resentment toward him. He passed away when I was 17. I did back then, but years later, I've actually resolved that. So when I say that, there's no resentment whatsoever. But either way, it does some damage to a person. And once I was able to let some of that stuff go, let go of some of the limited thinking, let go of some of the things that I had been taught, it got much easier to kind of step into self-love. Anyway, I feel like I'm babbling again. Where I was going with this. Men, I'm talking to you guys. When are you going to allow yourself to finally love yourself? And just to be clear, I'm not talking about, with the kind of love when a person says, fuck yeah, man, I fucking love myself. I fucking love myself so much, it's ridiculous. That's not self-love. That's you trying to convince yourself of something. A person who has self-love is calm. They are not easily threatened. They're not easily triggered. And when something bad or negative does happen to them, they blow it off. It's like water off a duck's back. A person that has or lacks self-love almost behaves like an adolescent child who didn't get their way. That's how that has been my experience. So I'm not saying that this is an absolute universal truth for everyone, but I'm saying that this has been my experience. Yours might be a little bit different. Anyway, I'm babbling again. So again, my name is Uriel Mesa, and I'm with ktslifecoaching.com. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.